Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds! Hello, nerds! Hello,
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds! Hello, nerds! Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds! Oh my God, I'm late for the Datapalooza. I apologize to Vaughn and Elizabeth and Yes, who logged in on time, but unfortunately, I was my work meetings ran a little late, so I had to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? But let's get this started, baby. Okay, so you guys know I've been doing a lot of interviews every weekend. I actually haven't had as much time to do solo live streams looking at data, which is, as you know, what I love. So I figured since we are now 1 week from the big day, we should try and see what the heck is going to happen. Before we get into it, let me just see, where's everybody logging in from? I am joining you today from the great state of California, about 15 minutes north of Palo Alto, which is the beautiful background that we have going on right now. Where are you guys logging in from? Let me get. I'll shout out your name and location if you want to throw that in the chat. And while you guys are letting me know, I just wanted to give you a heads up that today we're going to cover polling. We're going to cover money raising. We're going to cover betting odds. We're going to cover media coverage. We are going to talk about COVID. We're going to talk about search trends. So if you are interested in data, you have come to the right place. And if you are as excited as I am about this this big old election we have coming on, we're going to spend probably a good 45 minutes talking about it, maybe a little longer. Before we get into the data, let's give a little shout out to, let's see. First of all, I want to thank again Elizabeth Norris, Vaughn, and Yes for coming on. I see Elizabeth Norris is back, and Vaughn and Yes, hopefully we'll get you on the replay. Oh, Jeckalego, a channel member as well, is from the great state of Massachusetts, the Bay State. We've got Utah in the house. Mona, also a channel member. Elizabeth is from Michigan, which is a battleground state. We have Portland. Oh, James Johnson. James Johnson, who I believe may be the same James Johnson that went to Bowdoin College, a fine school for those who are familiar with that little liberal arts college up in Maine. We've got Maryland, another Michigan, another California, Vegas, baby, Colorado, a small town in Colorado. Okay, let's get going, shall we? Haven't looked at charts together in a while. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the most recent national poll I could find, which is Emerson. And as you can see here, you've got, this is the final Emerson poll before the election. You've got Joe Biden up 50 to 45, 2% undecided. This is a national poll. Like, this is freaking close, guys. So if you are, let's be real for a second. if you are not sure, like if you're like, hey, I don't like this Trump guy. I'm kind of mixed on the Biden guy. I don't love Biden, but I really don't like Trump. But, Biden's got it in the bag. No, Biden don't have it in the bag. Biden need every vote he can get. Let's be honest. Biden is not exciting, but he's sane, and he's going to have a better team than Jared, Ivanka, and Betsy DeVos and freaking Bill Barr. And who's that other person? Kayleigh McEnany. Oh, golly. Not a huge fan of those box of snakes. Any rate, it's 50-45 with 2 undecided, and I'm sure the margin of error is probably 2 or 3%. So this is basically tied at the national level. Now, you may want to dig in, and you'll be like, okay, well, who's voting for whom? So, number one, 42% of the country expects Trump to win. So that's a very interesting number there, because if Trump loses and then these 42% are riled up and Trump says, oh, this is what's his favorite pattern? This is the greatest disgrace. This is a coup. We've never seen anything like this before, right? Get ready for all that BS. That 42% is going to be like, yeah, you know what? I expected Trump to win, and now he didn't win. It must have been a spying campaign. Who knows? Like maybe even Trump will blame it on Russia. How funny would that be? So if you are a suburban voter, 54-44 Biden. If you're urban, 55-42 for Biden. But if you are rural, 59-34 for Trump. So those rural folks really like that Trump. The rest of the country, not so much. Biden has near universal support among Democrats, 99% from Democrats, and 93% of Republicans are voting for Trump. And independents are breaking for Trump, 47-41. That's interesting. 75% said they already made up their mind over a month ago. 11% made up their mind in the last week, and 3% have not made up their mind yet. Most people disapprove of the job Donald Trump is doing. And 31% say that the economy is the most important issue, followed by COVID, social justice, healthcare, climate, Supreme Court. For Trump voters, 53% feel the economy is the most important. And here is a chart. So if you are a Trump supporter, you are most likely to prioritize the economy pretty much over everything else. And if you are a Biden supporter, you are going to prioritize the COVID-19 response, and then pretty much even mix of healthcare, social justice, climate, and economy is like fourth for the Biden voters. Whereas for Trump, first is economy, and then social justice. Wow, 14% of Trump voters support social justice. Or maybe that's their version, which is the whole law and order narrative. And then COVID is only third important for the Trump voters. And we will get into COVID momentarily, but I would argue if you are frankly, on planet Earth, COVID should be a really important topic. Let's see. Let's now move on to a collection of trends around national polls over time. So we looked at the Emerson, which is like literally hot off the presses. But this is what the trend looks like for national polls over time. Basically, if you look here, since March, basically since COVID, Biden has been leading Trump fairly comfortably. Probably the biggest gap was maybe around early October, 52 to 42, a 10-point lead. And now it's 52 to 43, a 9-point lead. So pretty strong lead if you average all of the national polls together. And of course, we just looked at that Emerson one, 51 to 47. But Rasmussen has it even closer, 49-47. IBD 50 to 46. Guys, this is not like, if you look at the last few polls, Biden +4, +2, +5, +4. This is not in the bag, bros. Now, if you go to early October, it's double-digit lead. So that lead is shrinking. So again, friends, nerds, countrymen, I know you don't love the Biden, but if you have concerns about the Trump, please freaking vote. And if you're like, no, it's okay, I'm in a safe state, don't assume you're in a safe state, because the popular vote will be one of the key indicators for how old Donald decides to declare the election invalid and wants to do a do-over or some BS, or he's going to throw out the results from Florida because he says, I found a river full of ballots in Texas. I don't know what he's going to say, but you know he's crazy. He's going to say whatever he wants. Okay. So now let us look. So we looked at the national trends over time. Basically, it's tightening. It's not the way I would like to see it. Now, some of you in the chat were saying, yeah, but what about certain states? Okay, I got you. I'm going to give you some states. So let's look at some of the usual suspects. We'll look at Florida. Oh my God, dudes, you see this? Come on. 49 to 52. Shoot. 49 to 47, according to the most recent polls. So Florida is tightening. Tight as a drum. That's too close. You see what I'm saying, guys? I know you don't like Biden, that's fine. But if you really want Trump out, enough. Set aside your differences. It's 6:30 in California. But it's also 49 to 47 in Florida. So that's Florida. That's freaking close as heck. What about Pennsylvania? Biden up by 5 in Pennsylvania. Not that comfortable. What about Arizona? Oh my God, dude. This is nail biter. Biden up by freaking 48 to 45 or 49 to 46 if you want to round it. +3. This is too close. What else is there? North Carolina. Oh my God. 49 to 47. No, Jesus Christ. Dude, Trump might actually win this shit. Oh my God. This is so terrible. What about Michigan? Maybe Michigan has better news for us. Okay. Michigan looking a little stronger. Thank you, Michigan. What about Wisconsin? Wisconsin's looking all right. So you got certain states where they were kind of like everybody wanted to talk about them. Ooh, Ohio. The orange guy is ahead in Ohio, dudes. Devil. I think those are some of the most kind of contested ones. Do you guys have any other states that you want me to look at before I move off of the state by state? But yeah, the orange devil is ahead in Ohio. Behind me, Satan. Anyway, okay, so I think we got all of the states that. So please vote, okay? Vote. Okay. No such thing as a safe state. The devil is ahead in Ohio. Satan himself. Okay, now let us move on to the next set of data. Ooh, which is early voting. Okay, now this is a little bit more encouraging. Oh, you want to look at Tejas. All right, hold on. Shoot, I closed the tab. You know, I shouldn't have done that. Let me open that bad boy up. I've got OHIO. But you want to look at the Tejas. Tejas is coming. Hold on. Share Tejas. All right, here we go. Oh, shit. The orange man. Now, I will say Texas is not necessarily considered a very blue state. So the fact that the orange one is only up by 1 point in Texas, you could argue is encouraging. But if you're like me and you're like, man, I don't want any chance of another 4 years of Trump, you don't want anything close to Trump winning any state, frankly. But so yeah, there's Texas. Any other states before we move on? Golly, he the devil. Okay, just gonna just calm down for a second. Okay, now we're gonna look at early voting data. Let's look at some early voting data. What the heck? That's Tejas tracking. That's it. There we go. Early and absentee voting. Okay, so here, basically, there's going to be record-setting turnout based on how far along people are with voting. You already have 69.5 million votes cast as of October 27th. And that's basically about 25% more than had been cast around the same time in 2016. So we're already at half of the votes of 2016, and obviously we're still a week away from the election. And here you see for each state, the purple and the blue is the early voting, and then the top represents how much this year has already come in. So basically the whole square is the 2020 voting, and then the colored part is the 2016 equivalent. And look, Washington State, 67% has already voted. Vermont, 67% has voted. North Carolina, 72% has already voted. So for 87% of Texans have already voted. 87% of Hawaiians have already voted. So basically, in every single state, it's setting records for how many people have voted. And in most states, like Minnesota, Illinois, it's pretty much more than double that have voted at this point. So that's super exciting. Now, you could ask yourself, like, well, is that good or bad for Biden versus Trump? I don't know, but I have a feeling that it's going to be a little well, here it is by party. What you can see here is that the people that are requesting the absentee ballots, which even Trump supports requests for absentee ballots, they tend to be Democrats so far over Republicans. So at least in these states. Now, are there any states where there's more? Like Idaho has definitely, so the Idahoans, I'm not sure what they're called, but basically there's more Republicans requesting absentee ballots in Idaho, South Dakota. But if you look at like Florida, you're going to see more Democrats requesting. That's not a good sign for old Donald Trump when you see such a critical state of Florida North Carolina, more Democrats, about double requesting absentee. Freaking Iowa, even. So, that's encouraging. Pennsylvania, almost, I would say more than double. A little bit less than 3 times, about 2.5 times as many people in Pennsylvania who are requesting absentee ballots are Democrats versus being registered Republicans. So, yes, the polls are close, but the turnout may be a little bit more favorable to Biden if you believe that the early absentee ballot requests reflect the eventual turnout. Yeah, there's a lot of ifs there, which is why everybody needs to vote. Please vote and vote for Biden. Please vote for Biden. I beg you. Okay. Now, let's look at some more data. Some of you are saying, oh, you're claiming that Biden's ahead, and you're claiming that he's pulling away from Trump in some states, but, you Democrat, lib, socialists, Antifa lovers said the same thing about Hillary. Well, turns out that our friends at Real Clear Politics have put together some charts that compare where Biden is now to where Hillary was around the same time in her 2016 election. So let's take a look at that. And that one is called RCP. Here we go. Okay. So if you look here, national polls, Trump versus Biden. We talked about this. He's about 7 points ahead, 8 days to the election. Right? And some of you are saying, snowflakes, you said the same thing about Hillary. So Hillary in national polls 7 days before the election, 7 days. Well, basically 8 days is the latest data we have here. She was only up, 7 days. She was up by 2.2 points. 2.2 percentage points. So super close. Whereas Biden is up by 7.1. So if you are there saying, ha, 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 Donald Trump is going to own the libs again the same way he did in 2016, what I will tell you is that Hillary was in a much weaker place at the same time. Because if you'll remember, 4 years ago, a few days past, Comey had announced he was reopening the investigation into guess whose emails. And that was from Anthony Weiner's laptop. You guys remember that? Good times. So basically, Hillary was weak sauce this close to the election. She was only up by 2.2 and Biden's up by 7. So, like if you're rooting for Biden, you have reason for a little bit of optimism, at least relative to the Hillary outcome. But again, like, guys, it is way too close. Like, for someone who's done such a piss poor job handling this crisis, you would think he should be behind by 20 points, but he's not. These Trump supporters, they are very dogged. They are dogged supporters, and they will not criticize their dear leader. Like he can do no wrong. It's really scary. But at any rate, now you may wonder, like, okay, that was national polls. How was Hillary doing in some of these battleground states? And yes, Hockey 12 Extreme, we will be doing betting odds shortly. But let me look at battleground state polling versus 2016. So, yes, Ivy Gentry. Nobody feels confident. I agree, man. I'm freaking scared as I'm really like puckered up. I'm puckered up for that orange demon. I don't want him coming anywhere near me. Get away, orange. All right, let's look at the battleground states. Okay, here we go. So Trump versus Biden in the battleground states. Homeboy is only up by 3.5, and Clinton around the same time was only up by 2.8. So yes, nationally, Biden's doing better than Hillary was doing relative to Trump. But when you look at battleground states, Biden is not doing that much better. I mean, he is I'd rather have a 3.5 point lead than a 2.8 point lead. But come on, bros. This is not good. You see why everybody needs. So if you have friends and family that live in battleground states, please implore them to vote, assuming they believe in science and support a candidate who also believes in science. Sarah wants to know, have I been drinking? Hell no! Shoot. What I will tell you is I've had a long day of back-to-back meetings. Secondly, I haven't had my dinner, so I'm a little low on sugar, although I did scarf down a croissant. And thirdly, I am scared shitless of this orange demon. Can you imagine another 4 years of Trump? Think about the next crisis. Every presidential term has an unplanned, often international crisis. You know how that mofo did with COVID. How is he going to do for the next one? Is he going to play it down, tell us that everything's going to be fine? Just like look the other way? I mean, he himself went to the hospital. He couldn't even keep himself or his wife or child safe. The vice president, the chairman of the White House Corona Task Force, 4 of his team, including the vice president's own chief of staff, just tested positive. Is this who you want running the country? Shit. Devils. Okay. All right. Now we're going to now go on to betting odds, search trends, money raising, media coverage, and then COVID. So I had a whole hell of a lot of charts for you. Before I get there, let me give a quick thank you to some of our channel members. By the way, if you want to become a member, all you need to do is click on the join button. Or I'll give you a quick link. Join. I am drunk, man. I can't even freaking spell. Okay, there it is. tinyurl.com/join_NFH. Okay, well, let's thank some of these channel members because they make this channel possible. Okay. We want to thank Kristen Slevin, our executive vice president, a longtime member. Thank you, Kristen. We want to thank Laura Lane, Patrick Dunn, Arkansas for Yang, Joshua Frick, Fat Lamb, V Lamb, JM Sapp, vice president level. Next down is our hardcore nerds. Yang Den, Susan Clifton, Mona Burton, Landline, Mr. History Fan, Byram Hess, Jekka Lego, who is, I think, in the chat or was here in the beginning, Kirsch, Phoenix Congress, DK, Tracy Messa, Mrs. Jones, David, Jean Lim, Mike Chang. Okay. And then finally, we have our verified nerds. Blair Walsingham. Blair, running for Congress, supports the Nerds channel. God bless you. Jessica Locke, Ryan Haywood, Rasta Fasta, Tony Perella, Von Doramal, Elizabeth Norris, Christina Chang, Lisa Strawn, Shake and Make, Doris Emmerich, Nell Nieves, Mike CK, Gail Machado, Richard Johnson, Roger Green, Ben McLean, Lori Green, Soldier One, Emerald DX, Jadwiga, Basecki, Sophia Chen, Hitachi, Your Mommin, Your Mommin, Peter Knight, Arez, Sugar Sweet, Albert Tom, Brandon David, Yes Ramirez, who is also in the chat, Brian Kitchen, Helen Fung, Lisa Childress. All right. So thank you all for supporting our channel. All of the money does not go to any of my personal lifestyle. I don't buy Ferraris with it. I put it all back into the channel. The last thing I spent channel member money on was the ads on the Yang Speaks podcast. I'm still paying those back, but they did help us grow the audio podcast subscribers. And the more subscribers we get, the more guests we can get onto the show, and the more people that we can, help share the power of that data. Okay, let's move on now. Thanks again, members. And if you want to hook a brother up with a super chat, I have an option of the Swiss Nerd cowbell. And I also have the Gong of Data. Oh, James Johnson, new member. Whoa, James Johnson, you must have rejoined. But I'm going to give you a little Swiss bell. Woohoo! All right. Jimmy Johnson. Okay. Now, let's go on to Vegas, baby. The Vegas betting odds. Who do the gamblers think is going to win? They think Joe Biden is going to win. So they look at those polls and they say, yes, it's close, but we still think Joe is almost twice as likely to win as Donald J. Trump. 61 to 36 in terms of the probability of winning. They think he's going to get 290 electoral votes, and they think that he will not win Florida. But apparently you still can become president even if you don't win Florida and you don't win North Carolina. Because if you win Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Virginia, Arizona, gamblers think that Biden's going to win Arizona. That's pretty interesting. Not Texas. But unfortunately, you cannot become president by just having a little bit of this sort of the southeastern area and this sort of central area. If the other guy has the northeast and basically a ton of electoral votes on the good old West Coast and now Southwest too, Colorado as well. So yeah, the gamblers do not believe that the orange man will prevail. I really hope they're right, but I will tell you what. Those gamblers thought Hillary Clinton would win too. So those freaking gamblers are not always right. That's probably why they're gamblers. At any rate, but they think the chances are better for Biden than Donald J. Trump. Okay. Now, let's move on to Google searches. Google searches. Let's look at the data. What are people looking for? Well, in terms of searches, more people are searching for Trump than Biden, although Biden has picked up a little bit, but Trump gets searched for more than Biden does. And if you want to see what are they searching for when they search for Trump, they are searching for coronavirus Trump, Trump COVID, Donald Trump coronavirus, Trump coronavirus update. Oh, this must be when that mofo caught it. Why don't we change the time to the last, call it 30 days? Oh, that would probably include, because guys, he just had the freaking virus only a few weeks ago. So we have to go last 7 days. Okay, you look at last 7 days, pretty close, although still more people searching for Trump than Biden, about 60% more. And what are they searching for Trump? They are searching for his 60 minutes video where Donald got so angry, he left. He literally walked out of the interview because he said, "You're not treating me fairly. You're asking me hard questions. I'm a big man, but I can't do a freaking interview." Somehow you're supposed to negotiate with Vladimir Putin, but Leslie Stahl scares you. Anyway, they search for that. Biden calls Trump George. Oh, that must have been a misspeaking by good old Joe. You know, I'm not going to hear. Look, I'm not telling you that Biden is like the most amazing candidate. He was probably like number 7 on my list. But the alternative is the orange guy who basically effed up the biggest crisis in American history since World War II. So do you want the biggest loser since World War II, or do you want the guy that like calls Trump George? I don't know. I've called people the wrong name before. I'm not crazy. What are they searching for Biden? Bobulinski, Tony Bobulinski. Biden call Trump George. Biden against fracking. Brad Pitt ad. Who the heck is Bobulinski? Why don't I just search for it and see? Tony Bobulinski tells Tucker Joe Biden denials of involvement in son's business not true. It's featured in a number of videos on GOP War Room, Fox News, Trump War Room, GOP War Room, Tucker Carlson. So that must be the guy that's saying that Biden took money. I think Hunter Biden took money and promised to give it to Joe. I don't know. But I honestly think, like, if you're the Trump family and you're accusing the Biden family of being slimy, I think the Trump family wins the slime war. But I will let the voters decide. If you believe in the Bobulinski, that's fine. That's you're right. Okay, now let's look at money. Oraz says nobody was going to beat the virus. I don't put it on Trump. I don't think anybody expected the virus to go to 0. I think the problem is, why did we in the greatest country in the world so unsuccessfully deal with this virus when you look at Japan, Taiwan, Korea, even Europe? Yeah, they're experiencing a surge, but relative to us, they don't have no 250,000 dead. Or sorry, it's 225,000. It's supposed to get to 250,000 next month. But either way, that's the thing. Like that. Here's the funny thing. If Trump had only taken the virus a little more seriously, worn a freaking mask, didn't make a big deal out of wearing a mask, he probably would have been reelected. But he's just kind of a dick. Right? And sometimes people don't want to vote for the dick. So that's the God's honest truth. People don't like leaders who are dicks. And Trump is one. Yeah, definitely a little punch drunk from this freaking election. Let's look at some money. Okay. Who has the money? Looks like they've raised the same amount. Unfortunately, Trump has already spent almost all of the money that he raised. So he spent $1.5 billion already. And Biden only spent 1.3. So Biden now has 200 million in the bank and Trump has 100 million. And if you look at cash on hand, the first half of October, Biden has 162 million. Now Trump is already down to 43 million. And where does Trump get his money? Most of it seems to be from large dollar donations, 30 million from large dollar, 40 million from total individual, 13 million from small dollar, 30 million from large dollar. And then Biden has got 25 million from small and 45 from large. So this one is 13 out of 40. This one's 25 out of 70. So probably a smaller percentage of Trump's money comes from small donors, or a larger percentage of Trump's money comes from large donors. But Biden has some large donors too. And then you look at the RNC versus DNC, raising about similar amounts, spending about similar amounts. This Trump Victory Fund, yeah, also about 80 million in the bank. So although this Biden Victory Fund has spent 130 million already. So TLDR is Trump is losing in the money race, which I think explains why he's doing all these rallies, because they're free and he likes them. I think he prefers doing rallies over, frankly, doing policy. So that is the money race. Now let's look at media coverage. Now this is where, basically, this is how Donald Trump won the primary in 2016, and probably why he won the general election. And the reason is the media. As much as Trump supporters complain about the media, here's the reality. The media cannot get enough of Trump. Okay, so here is the number of...
7 o'clock.
It's 7 o'clock in California. But here's the number of mentions for Trump on CNN, MSNBC, Fox. 337,000 mentions. And this is, let's go to the last month update dashboard. So in the last month, Trump has had 51,756 mentions, and Biden has had 40,274 mentions. So you've got basically 25% more coverage of Trump than Biden. And that's not just Fox News. Fox News is this gray one. Fox News is actually covering Biden more than Trump. But freaking MSNBC cannot stop talking about Trump, and CNN can't stop talking about Trump. I mean, the guy gets press. This is just a visualization. You can see basically the light blue is the Trump, dark blue is Biden. And then if you look at network television, 1,500 mentions of Trump, and only 1,000 mentions of Biden. So 50% more mentions of Trump than Biden on network television. And then if you look at online news, 315,000 mentions of Trump and only 147,000 mentions of Biden. So double the coverage of Biden that Trump is getting for online news. So, and then if you want to think about the chyrons, this is the little tickers on the bottom, 937,000 for Trump, 252,000 for Biden. I mean, basically Trump, he's like a terrible car crash or like a terrible fight that you just can't like look away from. I mean, you just need to look at Trump's Twitter feed. He purposely says things to piss off liberals, and then it's like a game for his supporters to defend whatever he says. So, anyway, that's the media coverage. Good old Donald. All right, now let's look at America turning the corner on COVID. That it's going away, and I think he said he'd give himself an A- for how he's handled the crisis. So in the last 14 days, there have been 40% more cases than the previous 14-day period. There have been 15% more deaths than the previous 14-day period. Okay. This line should not be going up, people. 74,000 new cases on October 26th. Okay. Can you imagine? Remember when people said, oh, it's just like the flu. It's just one thing. It's 10 people. It's on some boat. Don't worry. I'm going to, I'm going to block the flights from China. It's like, bro, when a virus is in your country and you block some people coming from an infected country, that doesn't solve the problem. The virus that's why it's called viral. Bro, it spreads. So stopping a bunch of Air China flights is not going to solve the problem. Shit. All right. Now, some people are saying, well, but you're not being fair. Other countries are suffering too, right? So let's look at the worldwide chart here. And you're right. The worldwide chart is going up. But if you look at the country table and you look at cases, let's say per 100,000, or let's just say look at total cases. Who has the most cases? United States. Now, some people are saying, oh, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. Oh, wait a minute. We got a super chat from Jennifer Montgomery. Trump has a running tab at the rallies that he hasn't paid yet from 2016 to the current. Can we get some data on that? I don't think that's actively published, Jennifer, in terms of Donald's history of not paying contractors and small businesses. But I will tell you that it's not shocking. He had a history of doing that in his real estate development days. But if anybody has that chart, feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll try and share it. But I don't think they have a chart of how much he owes. The closest thing might be there could be some articles about it. Let me see. Donald Trump unpaid bills. Okay. I think these are mainly articles. All right, let me share some of the numbers. I don't have charts, Jennifer, but I have some data. This is on Politico. In 10 cities have complained that the campaign has not reimbursed them for services provided by local police and fire departments totaling $840,000. Trump accused the mayor of overcharging for the arena and therefore refused to pay. Okay. Basically, he goes into 60 lawsuits and 200 liens against Trump and his companies failing to pay businesses and employees. Local officials in 3 cities, El Paso, Tucson, and Lebanon, Ohio, said that bills remain unpaid. El Paso billed Trump $570, including a late fee of $98,000. Well, good luck getting him to pay. Basically, bro doesn't pay, never pays. He's just, what's the word? A little bit of a dick. I think that's basically what the end game is. Bro doesn't pay. All right, now, oh, did I not share? Scheiße. Hold on. I'll share the unpaid bill stuff. Sorry, guys. Late. Okay, so this is the article on Politico. This is saying in total 10 cities have complained that he hasn't paid $840K. This is according to a study by the Center for Public Integrity. This is him calling the mayor of Minneapolis a radical and refused to be bullied and will not pay his bills. And then later on, it talks about him being charged a one-time late fee of $98,000 by El Paso. Basically, when you go into these cities and you cause them all of this disruption or use their arenas, like, you got to pay for it. You can't just leave town in Air Force One. But apparently that's what he does. So anyway, that's a little bit about the unpaid bills, Jennifer. Now let's go to the COVID country by country comparison. And thanks for the super chat, Jennifer. Okay, so US 8,800,000 cases. Now, some people are like, well, that's not fair. Like, there's a lot of people in the U.S. Okay, but the per capita, the per 100,000 rate is 2,700. Russia has a lower per 100,000 rate. France is lower. Spain is lower. Argentina is lower. Colombia is lower. United Kingdom is lower. Mexico is lower. Right? So now you're saying, no, that's not fair because America tests more. Okay, so we'll look at deaths. Deaths per 100,000. Okay, who leads the world in COVID deaths? America. America is first in COVID deaths. Now, some people are saying, that's not fair. There's more people in America than these little countries. Okay, well, if you normalize it by per 100,000, it's 68 dead per 100,000. That's more than India. It's more than Italy, France, Iran, more than Colombia, Argentina, Russia, South Africa, Indonesia, Iraq, Germany. It's 5 times more deaths per 100,000 people than Germany. 5 times more than Turkey. Almost 10 times more than Philippines. I mean, this is just ridiculous. So a little bit, even more than Sweden. Ridiculous. So, when you compare how we're doing versus other countries, we are sucking. Okay. We are not handling this crisis nearly as well as other countries. That's just the reality. Those are the numbers, man. I don't make these numbers up. This is what happens when you don't freaking take something seriously. Okay, now within the US, you might be curious, like, well, not the entire country, hasn't written this off. There are parts of the country that are taking this seriously. And this is true. So let's take a look at a map of where in the country we are doing well and where we are not doing well. So if you look at, let's take total cases, or we'll look at hotspots first. Hotspots are cases per 100,000 people. So this is normalized for population size. Where do you see the most action? It comes from this Midwest, upper Midwest, Southeast area. Who is running the show in that part of the country? I'll let you guys decide. But it doesn't look good. And then if you look at where cases are higher and staying higher, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Guam, very bad. Arkansas, Indiana, high and going higher. Okay. Now, where are they lower but going up? Pennsylvania, Arizona. Where is it low and staying low? There are very few states. Only freaking 8 states are low and staying low. Where are new deaths increasing? These are the death charts, guys. This is not like, oh, we test more. I mean, unless you're going to argue that the act of testing more is causing people to die, I don't think that's probably true. Like if you have to go to the hospital at this point and you're near death, they're going to test you for COVID. So those are the death charts. And then if you look by where are the most deaths, total deaths, New York, Texas, California, Florida, New Jersey. But if you go by per 100,000, the worst are New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Louisiana, Rhode Island, Mississippi. Now, if you look at this color grading here, what you want is you want it to be yellow and not getting darker. So you see New Jersey and New York really got hit hard in March, April, but lately they've been pretty okay. But you look at Rhode Island, Mississippi, Illinois, this is where it's getting darker to the right, which is not a good sign. Ooh, North Dakota, look at this. Iowa, Guam, South Dakota, Idaho, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Montana, Utah. They're all getting worse. Wyoming. You don't want to be one of these states where it's getting more red and orange. What you'd like to look like is maybe you had a little bit of orange and red in the beginning, but now you're mostly yellow. Like you could argue New York might be in that category, although it's getting a little darker now too. Who's looking good? Where would you want to be if you don't want the COVID? New Hampshire's looking pretty okay. It got a little bit darker. Ooh, Maine, Vermont. So you guys are doing it right. Whatever you're doing up there. Although I know the president said that the heat would kill the virus, but it turns out that Maine is doing okay. All right. Last thing I want to hit before we do some open questions, if there are any, is I want to tell you guys about my petition to get Joe Biden to offer Andrew Yang a role in his cabinet. So if you haven't signed the petition, please sign it. If you signed it but you haven't shared it, please share it. I will put a link in the chat box now. It's tinyurl.com/Yang-Biden, I think. Make sure that works. Nope. Good thing I didn't put that in there. Maybe Yang Cabinet. Yeah, Yang-Cabinet. Cabinet. Now, so far, we have 1,600 people who have signed our petition. Oh, Jekalago signed it. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for being a member. Elizabeth, thank you for signing and sharing, and thank you for being a member. Mona as well, thank you for signing and sharing and being a member. Wow, a lot of people signed. Ivy signed. Love it. All right. Soldier One signed. No, Caleb. He was offered a role on the campaign. This is offering him a role in the cabinet. And we want our man, Andrew Yang, to have the option of being in the room where it happens. And do not assume that he will automatically get picked. Why? Well, you remember what happened with the DNC speakers? They freaking forgot about them. However, the Biden Transition Committee has started in April of this year. They are already putting lists together of potential cabinet members. So now is the time to pressure them. So I've been tweeting at that members of the campaign, the chairs of the campaign, and I will be giving them a call when we hit 2,500 and saying, hey, please make sure Joe Biden is on your list and under consideration. And the subtext is, if you don't, we're going to make some noise and we're going to be a pain in your ass. So if you want to unify the country, you're going to need the energy of the Yang Gang. We are serious. We will be heard. And we want our man in the senior post in the administration. At least he should be offered it. Now, if Andrew decides not to accept it, that's up to Andrew. He's going to do the calculus. He's going to figure out what's right for him. But at least he should have the option. All right. So now I think we covered everything. Were some people asking about Nevada? Were some people asking about Nevada COVID? I think so. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. COVID. I'll pull up Nevada. And if you have any other topics or questions in the chat, feel free to put them in there and I will get to them in a second. But I want to pull up Nevada. I think you're asking about Nevada COVID, or maybe you were asking about Nevada polls. Nevada COVID, 38% rise in cases, but they're doing better on deaths. So their deaths have come down a little bit. So that's good. And about 531 people hospitalized. I think the bigger issue is when you see this kind of spike in cases, usually the death rate lags and perks up after. The most concerning is if you are in Elko County, Nevada, or if you're around Washoe County, that's generally not looking so good. And then if you were curious about the US and you're like, hey, but we have Regeneron and everything like that, and we know how to treat it. Here's the problem. The problem is that if you look at USA COVID death rate, if you look at deaths, it's not coming down from July, right? This is not. So basically, let's say there were over 1,200 people that died on October 21st. This line is up and down because of weekends and stuff, but this is not going down, guys. If you believe the president that, oh, we have all these therapeutics and I took these steroids and I'm fine, then the question is, then why are close to 1,000 people dying every day with your great, unbelievable Regeneron? Why is this happening? You got it because you had a team of doctors and a freaking helicopter and a whole wing of a hospital, and you didn't have to pay a cent and you didn't have to worry about it, and you got access to care that no one else has. Those 1,000 people that died, and by the way, this is weeks after you claim your Regeneron was so amazing. The 1,200 people that died on October 21st, they didn't have no Regeneron. They may not have even had the remdesivir. They may not have had health insurance. They may not have had a team of doctors hovering over them 24 hours a day. So, please spare me the we're turning the corner bullshit. Spare me, because people are dying and you are not leading. You can't even tell people to wear masks at your rallies. It's so maddening that you are the leader of the free world, the most advanced country in the world, and you can't even tell people in your own freaking rallies, please put on your mask. And do not give me this bull about, well, we hand out masks to everybody that comes in the door. Well, they're not wearing them. Yeah, the ones behind you on stage that are standing next to you, they're wearing them. But the hundreds and thousands of people in the crowd, they're not. And all you need to do, Donald, is say, everyone, I know it's a pain in the ass. Please put on your masks. It'll help reduce the spread of a deadly virus. But you won't do that. You won't do that because it makes you look bad, you little man. Disturbing. Okie dokie. I think we've talked enough. I need to take a long walk because the orange man has just disappointed me too much. And I'm just really, he's a disgrace. He's an absolute disgrace. He cannot lead us. He has no team. He cannot remember any facts. He refuses to be transparent about his tax records. He pulls these photo ops like, oh, I have a healthcare plan. And he has Kylie McEnany pull a printout of a bunch of random congressional initiatives and executive orders. Where's your freaking healthcare plan that was supposed to be cheaper, more coverage, and better? Remember when you told us it was 2 weeks away? Bro, that was 2016 when you said it was 2 weeks away. Remember? You would all chant, repeal and replace, repeal and replace. Where's the freaking replacement? Where is it? So all of you Trump supporters, tell me, for the Trump healthcare plan, who pays for it? How much coverage do you have? How do you pick your doctors? How is the drugs paid for? What does it mean for seniors? You can't answer any of those questions because he has no plan. He doesn't even have a plan for healthcare. He does not have a plan for COVID. He says he has a general that's going to distribute the vaccine weeks from now. Really? Who believes this? Freaking. If anybody here supported Andrew Yang, because Yang had a lot of details and plans, I don't know how in God's green earth you can support Donald Trump, because the opposite of an Asian man who likes math is Donald Trump. Unbelievable. Okay. Now, we're all fired up. We're going to have a big election coming in 7 days. Please vote for Biden. Make sure you do that. And then we can talk about what's going to happen with Yang, and we can talk about the Congress in 2022. But please, God, let's have someone that can actually come up with a plan, or at least put a team together that can put together a plan, and that doesn't just constantly lie to us. All right. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, nerds. I'm so sorry. I got to apologize to the nerds out there. I'm sorry for losing my temper just now. I expect more from our country. We are the greatest country on the face of this planet. We are the most advanced. We are the richest country. We are the most well-educated country. And we have this person who thinks that it's a popularity contest, who would rather demonize his opponents and focus on random shit because he doesn't want to talk about the fact that 225,000 people died on his watch. And people Experts say if 95% of the people wore masks, we would save an additional 100,000 lives in the next 6 months. Why is this so hard? And you say, whoa, Fauci was against masks. Yeah, in February. And now we know that they work. So freaking get with the program, bro. Okay. All right, guys. I got to go to dinner. Thank you to all the channel members. We're going to do a lot of live streams on election week because I'm taking a few days off from work. And we're going to be covering it because I have a feeling old Donald is going to try and steal this election. And we're going to have a lot to talk about. But with that said, please vote, like and share, sign the petition, and, give your family a hug and be grateful for what you have right now. And vote like your life depends on it because it might. Bye, nerds.